Woodrow, welcome to our Richmond post-mortem after we've knocked Tigers by 4 points, and it feels like a bit of a get out of jail, doesn't it?
I don't even know what you'd call it, Damian. I've got a massive thumping headache. I'm exhausted after that. I've never walked away from a win and not enjoyed it as much as that, I reckon. It just didn't look like we had any control or momentum in that second half. And credit to Richmond, I thought they were really strong and tough in the contest and they wanted it. But we've got a lot of work to do, Damian. A lot of work.
You're a bit of an optimist. I'm probably the pessimist. So let's go back this week leading up to the game, the whole saga around the Sam Doherty leaked audio. What do you make of all that stuff?
I thought what Sam had to say was pretty bang on. However, I've had to listen to what other people have had to say. And I think the decision to not include him into the pre-game stuff in the function room was a stand. And I get the stand that they wanted to make. But at the same time, I think a lot of what Sam had to say came into fruition today in this game tonight, where the game was hot. There was a lot of hate in that game in that second half. And we did what we usually, our mids, unfortunately, have been sucked into doing, is that they, couldn't get out of that first gear. And I actually think Sam would probably feel pretty validated from what he said tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the people, who had heard Sam's comments last week on Dan Does Footy podcast would agree with his sentiments, where once the pressure comes, we fall to pieces. We actually just go to ground and we can't handle the contest. And that was quite evident in the second half tonight. How many times did Elijah Hollands just caught holding the ball? Morris Rioli Jr. just coming out of nowhere and just laying tackles. We were just sitting ducks in the second half, weren't we?
We were, and I think we just didn't have the gumption to take the game on. I think that was the biggest issue. And I couldn't understand how we let Tom Lynch have 9 scoring shots. That's pretty bizarre, really. I mean, I know he kicked 2-7 and...
Well, just on Tom Lynch, what do you think of that free kick in the final quarter with the Lewis Young block?
Fair free kick. I think it was pretty well paid. I don't think there was any dispute if that was a free kick or not, to be honest. But I just don't understand why Jacob Wienering wasn't playing on him. I couldn't understand what the go was with there. It was quite obvious that Lynch had started, he was really getting on top. And I thought, you either double team him almost at a stage there. But, yeah, I mean, lucky he didn't kick straight or else it would have been an absolute good night rain.
For the life of me, I mean, I know it's very easy to just hang shit on Lewis Young. He's very much the whipping boy of Carlton, has been for the last 2 years. But for the life of me, I can't understand, you make Wade Dirksen drive as far as he had to, then you play him in the practice game against Brisbane, you play him in the Amy Challenge against Geelong, and he shows it. He's got some pretty good know-how in the back line, and, he can obviously go forward too, but in this instance, you play him as a key back. I can't understand why they're going in with Lewis Young ahead of Wade Dirksen. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Absolutely, and I'm actually a Lewis Young fan. I like Lewis Young. I actually like him as a second ruck option, in particular. But, I actually think Lewis Young's the least of our concerns. But I agree with the Wade Dirksen sentiment that if you're going to select someone in particular, they got rid of Will White to select him. So,
yeah, and I know you were big on Will White and you were very impressed with how he went about training over the off-season, but he missed out on that spot, didn't he?
He did, and I was bleeding for him because I love Will White. He cracks in, works hard. He's exactly what, you build a premiership on, to be honest. There's guys like Will White that just get their role done every week, and for him not to get selected and then to pick up Wade Dirksen and then not select Wade Dirksen, it just boggles my brain. I don't understand, because that position needs to be filled, and that's where we're having issues. And you can obviously see tonight that was one of our deficiencies, Damian.
Tell me, what are your thoughts on Elijah Hollands? I think he, obviously he deserved his spot on the list, but I don't know if he's actually been able to acquit himself in the pace of the game in the first 2 games. I think he's sort of been found wanting with a lack of real match fitness. And, it was evident he got caught holding the ball a number of times last week. He scrubbed a number of kicks along the ground. And, yes, he's usually clean with possession, but I just found, against Sydney and again tonight, just, wasn't his usual composed self. And, I don't think he's adapted to the pace of the game so far in 2026.
I'd probably suggest it's a fair assessment. However, I would say that with Elijah, that I think it's worth persisting in playing him. He hasn't even played 50 AFL League games of footy yet. So I think you got to keep confident. And I think our expectations of Elijah is that he's probably going to have games where he dips in and out of games. I actually thought he started pretty okay. I thought he finished pretty strong in that last quarter, took some nice marks where he played pretty well. But again, I think his role's pretty tricky to define. Like if he's sort of playing that sort of wing, half forward, then spitting on ball a little bit. So I think maybe just honing in on where he's actually supposed to be playing, I reckon would be something. I'm a bit more worried about his brother, to be honest. I really think Ollie Hollands looked fairly lost tonight. And again, I don't like singling out players. I'm not that sort of supporter, but he's someone that it kind of looked like he didn't have any confidence. And I think that was demonstrated last week with that shot for goal that went out of bounds. And tonight, he just didn't look like he knew kind of knew what he was doing with his role. So,
Well, I think there's two things. Like, so first in Ollie Hollands, he had 14 disposals tonight, and he went at 64% disposal efficiency. That's been the knock on him since he made his debut. And you're just waiting and waiting for him to just almost pop and become a better user of the football. And I think that's really what's holding him back from becoming a C plus B player to trying to crack into the A players. But the other thing is, you mentioned confidence. I don't think it's exclusive with Ollie Hollands. I think the confidence, and you look at a lot of the players in the third quarter and the final quarter, a lot of what they're doing with no confidence. Like, Harry Mackay, there's not a lot of confidence when he gets the ball 50 meters out from goal. There's not a lot of conviction with Patrick Cripps at the moment when he's going for goal. Like, it looks like a team just devoid of confidence. And I don't know how that can happen when you're only 2 games into a season.
and I even looked at like Ben Ainsworth tonight, and I thought he was on the footy wasteland on the half forward line. I thought, he's someone Ben Ainsworth might be starting on ball next week. I think he needs to get on ball. I think he's someone that I reckon could really be a bit of a difference playing on ball. I think he's kind of wasted on the half forward line. Like, yes, I think he did some okay things in that last quarter, but again, he's someone that really we need to get involved and get the hands on the footy because he's a pretty reliable user of the footy. So again, that's something that getting the ball into his hands a bit more. But yeah, confidence. Like it's amazing. We're 22 points up against the Swans in that third quarter last week. So
yeah, but I preface that by saying that 22-point lead didn't feel like 22 points in that scheme of the game. Yes, we kicked the opening few goals at third term, but it was always a slender 22-point margin. Whereas tonight, when you have Lockie Fogarty lining up to put us 33 points ahead, we're on top of all facets of the game, and that miss then just sparked a whole momentum shift, and Richmond were able to get back in the game.
correct, and that's been a real big issue as well. Concern is that those sort of clutch moments where we're not able to sort of to jag them and get those goals. So I've been a big supporter of Fogarty, but I thought tonight probably wasn't his greatest night. But yeah, we've got a lot of issues, and
Well, on Fogarty, I just can't, like, say tonight, ineffective again, 6 disposals. But that's really neither here nor there. Okay, he's been in the side traditionally because he's able to apply pressure, lay a few tackles, but we're not even getting that from him. I cannot believe at selection, and I was surprised last week because what I've seen of Taylor Byrne in his underage football and what he was able to show at preseason training and in the practice games, I can't believe we've gone in with Fogarty ahead of Taylor Byrne. Like, I think Taylor Byrne has got that peppy vibe about him, a bit of energy, can hit the scoreboard, knows where the goals are. I think we're lacking that.
I agree with you. I think that is a very good point. I thought Taylor Byrne would have cracked the ones by now, but I think that's something that they need to address. Is they need to look at like how they're going to get the most out of Ainsworth and Haywood, and hopefully they might be a positional shift where Haywood plays a little bit more up the ground, same with Ainsworth, and that might allow someone like a Taylor Byrne to come in and spit into their forward line. and give that opportunity to someone like Taylor Byrne. And Zach Williams needs to play up for it because I think when
Oh,
he went
yeah.
up for it in the last bit, it actually
Well, I'm
things
all
started
for that, Woody.
to.
I think it would have been mid-January, there was a match simulation and he started half back and everyone was saying, "Oh, yes, hallelujah, Zach Williams back at half back." But I said on the half back line, Zach Williams has got that magic and that cleverness to be able to cultivate opportunities up forward. And, he was able to take a very good mark late in the game to kick was ultimately the sealing goal. I think we need to persist with Zach Williams up forward because he can kick goals. And, at the end of the day, you don't win football matches by applying the most pressure. I mean, that does help, but the whole game is to kick more goals than the opposition. And if we're not kicking 14, 15 goals a game, we're going to get beaten more than we're going to win.
Couldn't agree with you more. And I'm incredibly concerned about Harry Kay tonight. I thought again, there's a lot of these roles that I'm a little bit confused about what they're sort of doing. Like I think that Harry, that I, I really like when he's playing that key forward, obviously playing the bear in the square, the gorilla. But I think if he can't get into the game, and one thing he's been able to do is play that second ruck role where he's dominating the arcs and getting some marks and wheeling and going and using his effectiveness kicking forward. But that hasn't been able to happen this year so far. I thought Hudson O'Keefe tried hard, and I think there's a lot of persistence there
Ah,
that we need to
yes.
persist in.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm glad that Hudson O'Keefe came into the side as a sort of second ruckman forward option because we just looked too cumbersome, too slow with Liam Reedy in the side, and even with Tom De Koning at times alongside Pitnet in the last 4 or 5 years, we've looked absolutely diabolically slow. So at least O'Keefe, he can go forward, present a few options. I think he's a talent really worth persisting with. What are you ordering from Macca's, mate?
did that just come up on the thing, did it?
No, I'm just keen to know what you order. So right now I'm at home at Woody's broadcasting outside broadcast from which Macca's is it?
Well, no, it's funny because I tried to get it up on the app. I'm
Yeah, I know,
really
but
keen to get it.
you're turning your camera off, you idiot. Put it back on.
Oh, did I? Oh, sorry about that. I was
Yeah, I know.
thinking quickly through it. No, but
This is a visual medium. But anyway, back to Hudson O'Keefe. I think Hudson O'Keefe, we need to be playing him. And the other one I thought we need to be playing, and it's not going to help him being in and out of the side is Ashton Moyer. Like he is one who needs consistent football because
Damian, I could not agree with you more. Like the reason why I go to watch the footy is people like Ashton Moyer, who is exciting. He's right, left footed. He's got party tricks, and he's someone that we need to be playing every single game. But for some reason, he did not get selected tonight. Brody Kemp's an interesting one as well, Damien. And I think that Brody Kemp again, I like him a lot. But is his best football down back or forward? I'm really interested to hear your opinion on that.
I think his best football is as a sort of third backman who can add a bit of support but can fly in and add the extra number to the contest and get a great pair of hands. So to be able to take a nice mark down back, I think he's probably more effective for us as a backman. I know there's been periods of time when he's kicked goals. He kicked a bag of 5 against the Bulldogs last year, a couple against West Coast 2 years before that. I just think that for team balance, I would prefer to use the weapon of McGovern and his potent kicking for further up the ground and shift Brady Kemp down back. I think as a third tall, Harry Dean, obviously there's not much of him, so it's just a development year for him. Lewis Young, I think, as we've mentioned earlier, probably needs to make way Dirksen. And I think you put Brady Kemp down back, that adds just another bit of versatility to what is at the moment probably a second string back line. The back line is not quality and it's not the quality that it needs to be, does it?
I want to give a big shout out, however, to our back line to Lockie Cowan. It was a really big moment in that last quarter where he won a 1-on-2 and was able to clear the football away from um, a place on the ground where Richmond then they get an inside 50. So I think Lockie Cowan, I reckon, played his best game that he ever played in the Carlton jumper tonight. To be honest with you, I really liked his positioning. I really liked his efforts and energy. I think Lockie's someone that he's really going to benefit from growing with the likes of Harry Dean, and hopefully getting the improvement of others around him, I think he could really go to another level as well.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if he's going to go to another level, and I haven't been impressed with him so far this year. And he's going to start another job as a butcher because he's just absolutely butchered the ball, absolutely killed it tonight. Campbell Chesser, 15 disposals at 47%. That's not good enough. I'm sorry, but if you want to be an AFL footballer, and this guy, yes, he struggled with a few injuries at West Coast, but he struggled to get in their side at times. If you want to be a fair income footballer in 2026, going at 40%, 47% is not good enough. And I think that what I've seen of him so far, it does nothing for me.
Yes, no, I don't disagree.
And I know we have a mutual friend. It might have been you, but it might have been our other mutual friend in a message group who he barracks for Hawthorn, but
Yes,
I don't think he's a fan of Campbell Chesser either.
I don't think he is either, that mutual friend of ours.
Although said mutual friend is big raps on Cooper Lord, who signed a new contract this week, and I'm glad to see him getting the opportunities because early on he was in and out of the side as been the Voss way. You know what? This is the thing that shits me about the Michael Voss era is the lack of selection integrity, but also the chopping and changing of the younger guys in and out of the side. He never dropped senior players. Like very rarely in the Michael Voss era since 2022 has he made a statement and dropped a senior player. It's always selecting teams and coaching for self-preservation. I think, no, he's going to say, fuck that and actually coach for the now because I don't think he's going to have a future by not coaching for the now. If he's trying to save his job, he's going to be fighting a losing battle. He needs to be playing the kids. Because you look at Richmond, I don't know whether you agree with this or not, but despite the fact Richmond lost by 4 points and they're probably a bit further back than we are and they've started their rebuild in 2020.
A bit further back, Damian. Crikey, Moses.
I think Richmond are in a position where they're going to win a flag before we do.
Absolutely. I seriously think Damian will be bottom two this year. I'm resigned to it.
Look, I don't think we'll be bottom two. I've always thought we're not going to be contending for a wildcard spot. So, be realistic about that. But I think from what we saw tonight, Richmond, okay, yeah, they're not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination, but they have the pieces that, to me, look like they're going to be a premiership contender in 2 or 3 years' time. Maybe that's a bit generous. Maybe you give it 4 or 5. But I think with their young players who are coming through, you look at Layla, you look at Green, you look at Campbell, you look at young Grill who made his...
Is it Trace? I can't pronounce his name, number 36.
But you look at Grill, he had 14 disposals, and at the point of his 15th disposal, he had been going at 100% efficiency. Like, I can't remember the last time a Carlton player was going that well with disposal efficiency. Like, I think Richmond are a better place than we are, despite the fact that we're a bit further ahead. But I think there's red flags and alarm bells all over the shop. Now, I'm not being alarmist. I'm not being over the top. I just think that we are in a really dangerous spot right now. And if we don't plan ahead and we don't thwart the compromised draft that's ahead with Tasmania, we're going to be screwed.
Well said, Damian. I agree with you. And going back to Cooper Lord, put this on the record. I think Cooper Lord will be the next captain of the football club.
You think he'll be the next captain? Sorry.
It's a big call, but I really like it.
You think they'll go Cooper Lord captain over Sam Walsh?
I think, from what I've seen with him and the way Cooper Lord is developing and the come-with-me factor, the way he can hit the scoreboard, the way he can push forward, the way he can gut running.
Oi, fix up your microphone, you bozo.
I'm on my microphone now.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Campbell Cooper Lord.
So wait, you're saying that Cooper Lord will become the next captain of Carlton before Sam Walsh does?
I'm putting it on record. I'm big with statements, but I think Cooper Lord has got leadership qualities on him, and I think he could be the next captain of the Carlton.
I don't dispute that he's got leadership qualities, but when they're going to Sam Walsh and saying, "Hey Sam, don't go to Geelong, sign a 7-year contract with us," are they not within that contract negotiation saying you're going to be the next captain of Carlton and promising him that?
Yes.
And if they're doing that, I don't think a club worth their salt who are genuine and actually give a shit about their players can backtrack on a promise. Now, I'm not saying they made a promise like that, but when you sign someone for the length of time you Sam Walsh, they're obviously going to be internal promises made to a player. So you'd think they'd probably promise him the captain.
Damian, you are probably 100% right, but I think there's something about Cooper Lord that I go to the football and I love watching him. And I think he's got the supporters. I'm looking at other supporters that are at this McDonald's on AMN now, and they are. I've had one person just give me a thumbs up saying they agree with me about Cooper Lord.
All right, two more before we go. Ollie Florent and Will Haywood, the two recruits from the Sydney Swans.
I thought Haywood just is finding his feet. I thought Florent was okay early, but Haywood's finding his feet. I think Haywood needs to play up on the wing, get a bit more involved with the play. Florent's probably finding it a little bit too deep in defence. Needs to find it a little bit more up the ground and kicking into that second, third.
So we've got a bye next week. So the week after that,
We can't lose, you beauty.
no, we can't lose, but it's Carlton. Anything can happen. But then the week after that, we've got Melbourne on a Sunday afternoon. From a team selection point of view, what do you want to see the match committee do? Who do you want to see them bring into the side? Who do you want to see go out?
Moya's got to come back in. Taylor Burns got a debut. Definitely, I'd like to see that. I think Nick Newman would be available by then for selection. I'd like to see him if he was fit playing, because I think he adds just so much class and just he is tough and exactly what we need. So they're probably the three. Obviously, it's a pipe dream to see one of the Camperale boys play, but I don't think they're quite there yet.
They're somewhat forgotten because it's just really. I don't know where they're at, both of them. Like where they're at with their development. Are they going to make it?
And where's Billy Wilson?
Well, Billy Wilson looked good over the pre-season, but he hasn't been given opportunities either. I think he's got that ability to add speed at halfback, and this is where you move Zach Williams to the forward line. Without Adam Sard, and look, Sard's coming to the end. It's almost curtains for him. I think he might have another year or two left in his contract. But given the soft tissue injuries he sustained over the last couple of years, he's not the player he was when he came across from Essendon. He's slowed down quite a lot. So you're thinking, you move Zach Williams further up the ground. You got Cowan at halfback. You got Nick Newman in the back line too. You got Billy Wilson who can slot in a half-back line too and add that speed that Adam Sard used to give us. So he's one to watch. But this is a problem. And this has been a problem for a long, long time. And this predates us having our standalone reserve side. This goes back to the Northern Blues days where our talent identification within the state leagues is poor and our player development is poor. The amount of players we had with first-round draft picks that we burnt. And I'd love to do an analysis on this because I reckon we've burnt more first-round draft picks and, ruined more first-round draft pick careers than any other club. You look at, this might be a bit harsh, but Lockie O'Brien, Paddy Dow, Matt Watson, you look at players like that,
yes,
you just think you bring these players to the club and then they don't kick on as they should. And they, if they get into the system at Sydney Swans, they get in the system at Geelong, they probably play 2 or 3 seasons in the seconds and become regular senior players. At our club, their careers just fucking stagnate.
And where's Flynn Young is the other one?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. Some of these...
mate, so these guys were getting engaged the back end of last year and they're nowhere to be seen, not even in the emergency. So that's another thing I can't quite get my head around is that people like Flynn Young got a contract over Will White. And I like Flynn Young. But let's play him. Let's get him in there. So, mate, I better roll.
Yeah, go order your Maccas.
I'm just going to get my little McFlurry. Hey, chin up to all the Burgers fans out there. I know it's a real tough time. Let's get behind each other as much as we can. But let's keep being realistic.
And I'll tell you what, Scorch is going to be so pissed off that you've come on the podcast before he has.
Sorry, Scorch. I apologise, mate. Scorch is usually asleep by this time anyway.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, that's it from the Heatley stand end in the Richmond post-mortem. Go Baggers.